Hey, how you doing? Welcome back to the Herbie Design Co workshop. Welcome to the first episode, the first video for Business Bites. He with the most tools doesn't win. If that doesn't get me some arguments, I'll be surprised. We've all heard the saying, him with the most tools wins, all that sort of stuff. It's all about collecting tools, having most tools, having all the tools. But you know what? It's not about your tools. It's not about what you've got in your workshop, and it's not about filling your workshop with tools. For me, what you can see behind me is pretty much my workshop space. I don't have a huge space. In front of me is a little bit of an open space that I can bring the car into and park the car in at night. But that really only ever gets used for the workshop when it comes to assembly. If I'm assembling a table and down to final assembly, then I'll use that space to set it up. When I moved into this workshop, I lost probably 2/3 of the real estate that I already had in a workshop. So what I've got now is probably 1/3 of the size of what I had before, if not less. I had a lot of tools before. I had a bench-mounted table saw. I had a jointer. I had a router table. I had my thicknesser on a rolling workstation. I had a bandsaw. I had numerous other large tools that I don't have anymore. Two reasons for that. Firstly, I didn't use them. My jointer I used maybe 2-3 times in a year. My bench mounted thicknesser I still have. It sits underneath my workbench now. I bring it up when I need to use it. The bandsaw I had for probably 3 or 4 years, and I used it probably 3 or 4 times. It was perfect at the time for a build that I was doing and working on, and it was a product that I was making a lot of. Therefore, it justified itself. When I stopped making that product, it no longer had a use. It just took up real estate, took up space. The router table, again, I picked it up when I picked up my router. The guy who I bought the router from had the table and gave it to me as part of the deal. I used it maybe once, twice tops. It wasn't about, and it isn't about having all the tools. Would I love to have those things? Sure, it'd be great, it'd be lovely. If I had a big commercial workshop, I probably would. But in that case, I'd probably use them more as well. At the moment, for me, it's about being efficient and smart with the space that I have. My table saw, I have a large cabinet saw. That takes up quite a bit of space when I pull it out to use. I've built jigs and stuff to be able to replace the tools that I've taken out. My jointer, I have a jig now to joint edges on a table saw. I can use a router flattening jig, or I can use a jig on my thicknesser to joint the face of a board or a face of a slab if I need to. That means I can do away with having a jointer in my workshop. Again, freeing up space. It's all about, in a small workshop, it's about freeing up space and freeing up your time and effort for what you actually need. The benefit in that is by selling my bandsaw, by selling my jointer, by selling my router table, I made a whole bunch of money back. So I got a whole bunch of money injected back into my workshop that I could use to invest in more efficient and more accurate tools. So those 3 items I sold, and I was able to buy my upgraded table saw. By putting the focus and the investment in the table saw, it's something that I use more. It's something that I use quite frequently. It gets to run pretty much constantly. It means I've now got the accuracy and precision in a table saw that I've been looking for years, that I could never get out of the little job site saw that I had before. Again, it's not about all your tools. It's not about having all the tools and everything that could possibly be made. Sure, it'd be nice, sure, it'd be lovely, but you know what? Sitting there rattling off a list of tools is of absolutely no value to you if you don't have the space to use them. So again, it's not about having the tools, It's about using the space you've got and the tools you've got efficiently. I can now run all my router work, I run with a handheld router, and if I need to, I can work with that. Anything I was doing on a table before, on a router table before, I can do with the handheld. And most of that is really just edging and edge profiling. My sliding compound miter saw, I'm actually about to get rid of. I don't use it. Again, I have jigs on my table saw that do that job, and anything beyond the capacity of what I can do with those jigs are very minimal, and I can do that work with a handheld circular saw. So again, it's not about having all the tools. He with the most tools doesn't win. He with the most tools just has a lot of tools and not much space to actually work. For me, it's about optimizing the space that I can work in and minimizing the capital outlay that I have to put out on tools. Hope that's helpful for you. If it is, stay tuned for the next episode of Business Bites. And remember, it's not about the tools, it's about how you use them.